You couldn't turn on the news or log onto the internet without seeing it. Hong Kong erupting in protests. The pro-democracy demonstrations broke out in September, the most serious unrest in the former British colony since China took control of it in 1997.
But as VOA's Matt Hilburn tells us, it appears social media has not driven Hong Kong's so-called umbrella revolution as it did the Arab Spring.
There has been a literal flood of photos, tweets, videos coming out of Hong Kong via social media, Twitter and Facebook namely. And we thought it would be interesting to take a look at sort of what was behind that. And it was interesting that social media is not really driving the protesters in Hong Kong as much as it is documenting what is going on there. If you go back to 2007 and the Arab Spring, which is also known as the Facebook revolution, social media really played a role in getting people out into the streets. As one person I talked to in this story said, it helped others realize that they were not alone. That's not the case in Hong Kong. For the Arab Spring, a lot of those people had to be stealthy in organizing. They couldn't go out in the streets. They couldn't organize freely. In Hong Kong, you can. So methods that we might be familiar with here, party organizations, party meetings, political party literature, all freely distributed websites, but really not dependent on sort of going underground, if you want to call that, in social media. You have an open society, free communication. So when the Hong Kong police cracked down rather harshly on the protesters with tear gas, batons, and whatnot, you had just a torrent of photos and videos coming out of Hong Kong. Here we see what looks like police officers using some kind of spray on protesters. Here's more clashes between protesters and police officers. You'll see here this one, you can see the umbrella revolution, which is sort of what this protest has been called, originating from people using umbrellas to shield themselves from tear gas. This is probably not being driven by social media. It's certainly allowing us from here in Washington to look at it and see in great detail what's going on there. But these protests are likely to have come together in sort of more traditional ways, and social media is just serving as documentation of what's going on there.
Matt Hilburn, who reports for VOAnews.com.